get beyond. B'Shalach. Parshas B'Shalach. So, yeah, very exciting, very exciting. So it's always nice to get compliments, right? But it's especially nice if you get a compliment from an Israeli. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you'll see, not just that Israelis don't give compliments. Obviously they do. But in a certain way, I used to daven in a shul in Yerushalayim, in my shchuna, in my neighborhood, and it was a Dati Leumi, Mizrahi. I guess in America the equivalent would be modern Orthodox. I don't even know how they would categorize it. Not that you have to categorize anything, but I like davening there. And they had a shita, no nusach. Whoever goes up gets to daven the nusach. That was how it was miyusad. That's how it was founded. It was very, very accepting, very loving, very beautiful shul. So after davening there for a few years, every Friday night they have a little speech there. So the guy asked me, my neighbor, he said, "No, you want to speak?" So I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a try. No problem. I don't speak Hebrew that well, but over the years I picked up a little bit here and there." So I gave a little speech, and at the end of the speech, he actually came over to me. He was walking home with me, my neighbor, and he goes, "You speak really well, like Kimo Yisraeli." I was like, "Wow, toda." I barely know how to. Yeah, you don't know dik that much, but I was like, "Yeah, we skipped all those Rashis," but I remember the parsha was not this parsha. It was the parsha that spoke about the cure. But when I was in the parsha, so I said there's a vart that a friend of mine told me. He said that when you wash the hands in the kiyur, it says the yadayim v'aglayim. So I think Rashi even says it in Mefarshim that they would do it together. They would wash the hand and the foot together, exact same, right and the right and the left and the left. The hand and the foot together in the kiyur. So a friend of mine said this was to show. There are some people coming and they felt so big. Bali Gaiva. Hands. Remember, you're a foot. Some kind coming broken, sabrachen. They feel like a foot. No, you're a hand. They give chizik to whoever you were. So I said that over and I connected it to the Reb Nachman's famous line. He says, Mesak Shemayim Shamata Vatzil Shalineka. It's a very basic Torah that's very, very prominent in all of the rest of stuff, that if you're going up to Shemayim, if you're having the highest days that you're having, Shamata, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is higher. You're feeling the biggest tzaddik in the world is so much higher, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, keep going, keep trying, keep plugging away. And if you're in the pits of Gehenna, Hineka, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. Don't worry, and you give the chizuk. So in this week's parsha, we have another reference that I feel always, whenever I see these psukim, are mamish clearly referring to this. It says that when Klal Yisrael got out of Mitzrayim, they had the clouds of glory and the fire at night, right? The Amra Anun and the Amra Ish at night. Why? For fire, for to guide them during the night and to give them protection during the day. But if you look at it from the perspective of what we were just saying, it's very clear that during the day you feel like you're big, right? You could see everything. I think Rabbi Foyer brought down in his book on Tehillim, he said that during the day they feel like they could see everything and they understand everything, and then all of a sudden nighttime comes and they see the stars and the cosmos and how huge the universe is, and they realize, wow, the whole daytime that I saw everything, I was just blinded. Obviously I could see the whole world, but I was blinded to see what's really going on out there. So during the day you feel like you're invincible. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu put a cloud. He said, not so fast, don't go crazy, don't reach up to Shemayim. And at night, when you feel like you're scared and you're lost, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a fire, a light, a guidance to say, keep going. So that, Agav Orche, I got another compliment afterwards, that another Israeli guy, he was like, sof sof, shamanu ksat Torah. Because, like, in the more, their cultured world, they like to speak a little bit more about the current events and the politics and the things like that. Not so much necessarily. They would always find some sort of connection to the parsha, but not necessarily that it was divrei Torah in that sense. But one of the most funny psukim and mysterious psukim in the whole of Chumash is in this week's parsha. Right, Klal Yisrael gets to a really hard place, Shalach, splitting of the sea, Hashem should help, and they're surrounded on all sides. They have nowhere to go. So what do they start to do? They start to cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And apparently from the hemshechin from the pasuk that we're going to quote, Moshe Rabbeinu was also standing there and he was also crying out to Hashem. And all of a sudden, Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "Vayomer Hashem Moshe." Hashem says to Moshe, "Ma titzak elai? Why are you crying out to me? Daber b'nei Yisrael, speak to b'nei Yisrael. So go, just go." Right? So it's incredible. I mean, here we are, especially we learn Hishtapchus HaNefesh every day. We learn about davening and how choshev it is and how you have to keep going and you have to keep doing it. And then all of a sudden, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, stop davening and just start doing it. So this week's parsha, like Benzi said the nice word this week when we were speaking about the Parsha Saman and about the Segula for Parnusa. What was it?
Get to work.
Get to work. That's the biggest Segula for Parnusa. Go to work. So maybe that's the simple pshat is that you can daven all day and all night, but at a certain point you got to get to work. I've heard that's the pshat Hazoyim Bedima. It says Hazoyim Bedima, but if you plant in tears, you're gonna reap the benefits with joy.
If you plant, you
have to plant, right? Hazoyim Bedima, not just crying and crying. You plant, so then you get it.
Go out on the field and when you work,
right?
That's planting.
Ishtadlus. You got to do a little bit of ishtadlus, right?
Or they say you have to have with the bracha to be chal.
You have to have a little bit with the bracha to be chal, right?
Well, I was just thinking that.
He mentioned this pasuk.
No, the pasuk, but the same concepts.
You got to do something. The Orach Chaim actually has the pshat in this pasuk to understand it, to explain it. It's a famous zach. It's even brought down in the Arts Kol Chumash that Klal Yisrael Pashat had no zechusim. They had no merit here. They had nothing to rely upon. All of the Avodah Zarah, they were all equally bad, so to speak, as the Mitzrayim. So they had nothing to go on. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "Okay, what are you going to cry more?" They're also that's not going to do anything. He said, "Go do something. Jump into a sea for me. That act of emunah that I'm telling you, just go and you listen to me. That in of itself will be the zchus that will split the sea." That's the Orach Chaim has that pshat. The only thing is that we have to remember even then, it's a funny thing, but Agav Orchei, in general, people sometimes are more afraid of success than they are of failure. People will be afraid to do certain acts and take certain steps because they think, I don't know, it's risky and this, that, but really it's just from a fear of succeeding. If I do succeed, then whoa, how am I going to be able to deal with that? How am I going to be able to handle that? It's going to be such a different world. It's not going to be my world that I know. It's going to be totally new. So they're afraid. But over here, we have to realize that there's another vort that someone says in this week's parsha that, in the end of the day, we're saying that you got to cry, you got to daven, but you got to also go out and plant. You got to go out and work. Sometimes then you actually do get success, and then you're afraid already that if I get the success, then I'm gonna already feel that I'm a big guy. That even that is a klipa in the whole thing of not doing things. So it says in the beginning of the parsha, it says Hashem yilachem va'atem tacharishun. Hashem's gonna war. You don't have to worry. Hashem's gonna fight the battle, and you guys are gonna be silent. So one of the pshatim is that you guys tacharishun is also from the lashon of deaf. You should become deaf, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to do everything. You're going to daven, you're going to plant, but then all of a sudden it's going to be tremendous yeshuas. But remember, it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't forget where it comes from. Wow. Tacharishin, be deaf to all those voices that are going to say, you did it, you made it, you did it. There's a story that Rabbi Biderman always brings down. I've seen it a few times in the last few years, that there was some guy from Eretz Yisrael that came to collect, and his Rebbe just said, just go. So his mom just went, total amuna. He literally landed in America. He had nowhere to go, Pasha. He didn't even know anyone. His Rebbe just said, go. You need to make a chasna for $20,000, No. Kids are in the airport or something, he ended up, just took a taxi to the Jewish place, and they then dropped them off in some shul in Bar Park or wherever. And he's sitting there in the shul, and some guy comes over and says, how are you? What do you need? So he says, Sholoch, he's collecting money for his daughter. He goes, come to my house, I'll give you something to eat, maybe you'll have a place. Okay. So he comes there. Afterwards, he speaks to the guy. He says, how much do you need? He says, $20,000. He goes, okay, here you go. But stay another day, whatever. Kitzer gets the whole money. He's overjoyed. Takes down the guy's numbers, praising the guy from today till tomorrow. Goes back to Eretz Yisrael. 2 years later, he's making a chasana. Oh, is he happy? This guy obviously loves me. This guy obviously is wealthy. He says, don't worry, I'm going to go to America. We'll take care of the chasana. He comes back to America. He goes straight to the guy's house. He goes, Shalom Aleichem. He goes, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? Writes him a check for $18 and says, Mamish B'Hatzlacha. He goes, huh? I got 20,000 2 years ago. I made my whole chasna. What are you giving me $18? So he said, when you came, I'm actually a very middle of the road guy. I make money, but not enough to give $18,000. But I had a daughter that was never going through some crazy tzar, and I made a Kabbalah right then that next guy that comes, I'm going to give no matter what the price is. I'm going to give him everything he needs, and it should be for Yeshua. Now I'm giving to you what I really afford. So Rabbi Biderman brings out that the Nakuda is that when he had Emunah, when he was going with Emunah, so it worked. When he was going because he realized, that he knows exactly where to go, it didn't work.
He had Emunah in this Yid.
In this Yid, not in Eibishter. Exactly. Rav Steinman, I just heard this a few weeks ago, might have even said it already, but Rav Steinman told one of his Talmidim, he runs I think he has had 300, 400 kollel people, and he collects all the money. He's talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's paying out every year. And he was in a matzav that he had no way to pay the next month. He was very, very, very tight for the money. So he went to Rav Steinman, and Rav Steinman said, okay, so go to America for a day, and Mr. Hashem, you'll get Yeshua. Okay, it's hard. No, try it. You're doing your shtadlis, Rav Steinman said, right? So he ended up going, and it stayed for a week because it didn't work out. It's very hard to stay for a day in America. A kitzer, he came back empty-handed. Rav Steinman said, knew how to go. So he said, I went, nothing happened. He said, how long did you stay for? A week. Because you're doing something? You're doing a shtadlis. Go back for an hour. So he said, what do you mean? Go back for an hour. So he flew back for an hour. I guess he landed and, he spent an hour outside of the airport, and then he caught the next flight back. And he said, in the airport, in Eretz Yisrael, as he landed, he got the phone call that this and this thing came through and that, and this guy decided, and he got to Yeshua. What? Wow. And it wasn't even, obviously, it wasn't because he went to America for an hour. Stein said, no, because you're doing a shtadlis. You have to sink it into your brain, into your heart, that your shtadlis is not the thing that's doing it. It's opening the gates for Hashem to give you the thing. It's such a super important thing.
The Sachman was speaking about Koichi V'Atzim. That's the whole...
Koichi V'Atzim Yodi.
Yeah, not to think that you were able to do something.
Yeah. Anyways, I heard a very interesting shot in this thing from the Ramban that I actually never heard before. It's also a unique way of looking at this this whole issue of not crying out. Ramban said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the beginning of the parsha told Moshe Rabbeinu that I'm going to honor myself through the destruction of the Mitzrayim here. There's going to be a crazy thing that happens, and they're going to be wiped out, and I'm going to be, my name is going to be glorified through this. So now, Klal Yisrael didn't know this necessarily. They knew maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to help, but they were in a very bad place. So they started crying out. And Moshe Rabbeinu also started crying out. But Narman says he shouldn't have cried out like, that cry, like, oh, what's going to be? Well, there's no hope. Right. The almost Yish cry, L'chara, according to Rav Nachman, there's no Yish, so the almost Yish cry. Right? So he shouldn't have cried out like that. He should have said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to save me. How? There's a place, I have nowhere to go, can't go to the right, can't go to the left, can't go back, can't go forward. Show me the way. So it's a big vart, I think, in a lot of things, that in the end of the day, you don't know exactly where to go. So sometimes you could just cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sometimes say, Hashem, just show me where to go. Show me the way.
You are going to help me.
I guess it's a bechina of emunah, you're saying. Bechina of that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help. There's a story that Tzvi Meyer, I heard from him many years ago, that he speaks about that there was a Rebbe, and there was a Rebbe, and some person came, and the person was on the deathbed. Daven for this person. He's on his deathbed. So the Rebbe starts crying, closes himself in his room, he's crying, and his little grandson, who was around 8 years old, heard and saw the story and saw what was happening. And around 20 minutes later, he comes back into the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, the person took a turn for the better. They say he's going to live, but it's very, very critical, but Mamish could live. He's going to live, they think. So the Rebbe started crying tears of joy and praising Hashem and thanking him and saying it should be a full refuah shalema, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he should get better totally. And Basof, they found out the guy did have a refuah shalema, but the guy lied. The little 8-year-old lied. So Rebbe came over to him and said, the guy was still on his deathbed. What do you do? He said, I saw his ID. I saw the Rebbe was davening, but from such broken yish, it wasn't going to work. You need to always have, he said he ended up becoming the Rebbe later on. I don't know who it was, Reb Tzvi Meir didn't say. But the Kudah is true that you need to have that emunah for the tefillah to work, and it should come from a place that it's going to happen. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes taka you cry Hashem. I don't know what's going on. Hashem, just save me. But sometimes you cry Hashem, just show me the way. So there's a very unique and mysterious Torah that's only around 10 words. That's in the Likutei Moharan. It's 198 in the first chelik in the Likutei Moharan. Reb Nachman speaks about this part. And he says that sometimes when a person cries out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they tell him, Vaiso, stop crying, go. Like it says in the Pasuk, Vayomer, stop crying, Ma titzak elai, Dabel b'nei Yisrael, Vaiso. So what does that mean? So I was once right here, Mamish, a few years ago, and there was a whole chevra here, the Canadian guys, and they were asking Rav Koenig about this Torah, and they said, when do we know? The Rebbe has 13,000 Torahs out. You have to keep davening, and if it doesn't answer, you keep going, and it's like a rock and a stone with water, and it's like, so many different Torahs that you should keep going, keep davening, and then all of a sudden he says, go weiter. So they asked him, when should we do that? When do we know? So he gave us a great answer, and I think it shines a lot of light on just in general in life. He said to them, after trying to be Mivar, he said, Taka, you're right. He said, this is definitely not one of the clearest Torahs in the Likutei Moharan that I could tell you X, Y, Z, this is what you should do, that's not what you should do. He said, but there's so much in this book that's so clear. He said, to do hisboidus, how to do hisboidus, and to go be besimcha, how to be besimcha, learn Torah, how to learn Torah. All of these things are very clear, very simple. Rebbe has tons of eitzes about how to learn. He gives you eitzah and how to chop things and how to chazer things. Like there's so many male eitzes that are simple and straightforward and clear that you're right. There's going to be parts that you don't understand, but truthfully, there's so much that we could understand. We have to mamish keep our eyes on it. So I think this actually reminds me very much of the Torah that I even quoted this week. That it says by Avram Avinu, right? Salach lefanav eisamim. I've said this over, but I'll elaborate on it a little bit further. Actually, it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avram Avinu, "Go before me and salach lefanav eisamim, and be simple, be straightforward with me." So, question is, we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps the Torah. How can HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Avram to go in front of him? If you're walking with your Rebbe, it's actually a halacha. You're not allowed to walk in front. You have to walk parallel, a little bit further behind. It's covered. It's honor to the Rebbe. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Avram Avinu, go against halacha and walk in front of me. It doesn't make sense. So when I thought about this once, it popped into my head, Hashem Tzilcha. Like the pasuk in Tehillim, it says Hashem Tzilcha, Hashem is our shadow. What does that mean, Hashem is our shadow? What is a shadow? When you look down and you see a shadow, what are you looking at? You're looking at the sun. It's behind you, and it's projecting, hitting yourself, and then you're seeing a shadow. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Hashem Tzilcha. That shadow, do you know what that is? It's me. Hashem is saying that every time you experience darkness in your life, when you're looking in front at the road in front of you and you don't know where you're going, that's my shadow because I'm right behind you. My light, my R, is right behind you, and everything you're seeing that's darkness is just a shadow. I'm right behind you. And obviously you're going to try to turn around really quickly, but it doesn't help. The shadow still doesn't get there, But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying that. So Hashem said to Avram Avinu, not you should go in front of me. He said that you are going to be going in front of me. That's your whole life, is that you're standing right in front of me. Why? Not that you should, but that's what it is. But what does that mean? I'm right behind you. Salech lefanai means that you're walking right in front of me and I'm right behind you. You can't see me? It's okay. So this week we were speaking about Hishtafchas HaNefesh, and the Rebbe says there that a person, when he's davening, should be bittul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nullify himself. He should totally make as if he's not there, right? So if that's the case, if you want to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light sometimes, if you're able to do that and you take away your whole existence, so then the light could shine right through you. If you become translucent, if you become invisible, you nullify yourself, you're pasha not there, so sometimes you could see the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu if you're holding on the level of bittul. But there's another place, there's another way. Could be that we're seeing darkness. But if you're in an airplane and you hear a safety demonstration, right? Sometimes you're there, anyone ever flies, right? Buckle up, and everyone's like playing with their phones, They're getting into arguments. The lady told you 3 times to turn off your phone. No, it's on airplane mode. So what are you doing? You're playing with it on airplane mode? I doubt it. Anyways, so one of the things that they always show is that chas v'shalom, in case of an emergency landing and the power goes out, there's lighted pathways that'll guide you to the nearest exit to you. So when you see that, this is about mamash and eitzah and what's going on. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, Shem tzilch, your life, very often, most of the time, you're looking and it's dark. It's dark mitzad, what's happening to your life. It's dark mitzad, you don't know exactly where to go. But remember, there's lighted pathways, right? I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything. No, no, there are. That's what the Rav was saying. There's so much in the book. There's so much in our life that you do know. Go to Minyan. Learn a little bit, daven a little bit, say Kippur Tehillim, simple, straight, real things. The biggest, we're learning a lot of it in the Likutei Moharan now, the biggest problem with the Yetzer Hara is not so much that he convinces you and he's a big malach and all that stuff, it's mush. Yetzer Hara is the king of mush. He makes everything mush. You might have tons of things that you know, you might have tons of things that you have inside of you, you might have tons of nekudas toivas and everything, but let's just mish it all together and think that we have nothing. So the whole avodah of a yid is to be mevarer. You have a nekudah tov, you have something good inside of you, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it at all. I'm a terrible guy. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara just mushed everything together in your mind and your heart. It's all just a big conglomeration of I don't even know what. So Rav Nachman always says, clarify it. Speak it out. Dibur or something, right? I've heard this many times from people. You want to say over a Gemara, right? You learn a Gemara. You say over a shtickle. Okay, so say it over. If you could say something over, that means you got it. If you say, yeah, your Rebbe asks you, okay, so say it over. You start mumbling because you don't know it. If you know something, you can speak it out. So when you lift up the things that are going on inside of you to speech, this is actually one of the main things of therapy. Why does therapy work? The therapists are magicians. They just get you to speak, right? A good therapist is someone that doesn't even do anything. He just sits there, but he pulls out from you to speak. And once you start speaking, all of a sudden, all the things that were all mushed together are clear. This is good, this is bad. I went through this, that's it. And once you start clarifying things fall away on themselves. Yeah, okay. That's the Nakuda. Akitzer, that's another Nakuda of what this might mean. And to end off, just one more shtickle of what this might mean. Another angle is from the first bracha we say every morning. Baruch Hashem, Bensi says it with a gusto. Buri chata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hanosin l'sech v'yivina la'avchin ben yom ve'in la. You gotta wake up the dead. That's great. Emes. And you do it, Baruch Hashem. Hanosin l'sech v'yivina la'avchin ben yom ve'in la. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to the heart, or another translation is to the rooster, the intuition, the bina, to know the difference between day and night. So the Pashup shot is that there is something called a rooster, and right, all of a sudden in the beginning of the day, they're all crowing and they're doing. It's amazing. They're able to feel it. They're very annoying. Yeah.
I'm walking down Union Road and it's 9 o'clock. I hear a rooster going. Something's off.
Yeah. Okay. Some of them are a little. Maybe nowadays we're all so mashuga with the lights and everything.
Yeah, they mix the genes. What?
Maybe they mix the genes. Yeah. A rooster is something that just. It feels that there's day coming and it starts to crow. It's a natural alarm clock, right? So we say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you for giving me a heart that feels that has intuition and is able to distinguish between things. So if you ask me, a rooster is not the greatest example of an intuitive person or intuitive being. Oh, shloime. All right, a rooster, I could think of a lot more. This is cholent overload. It's only one yid eating, and there's 4 cholent pans there.
I brought one in also, that's why I won't bring it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the cholent eaters. Anyways, so I can think of a lot more wise beings than a rooster, right? This rooster, once a day, it crows, and that's the. So I thought about it a few weeks ago, and it gave me actually a big chizik, right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that even if once a day your heart feels the difference between good and bad, day and night, that's enough to say the bracha b'shem u'malchus. We don't mess around in Yiddishkeit. You don't say no brachas if it's safek brachas lo hekel. You say b'shem malchus because one time yesterday and today in Mirz Hashem, you felt that that's wrong and that's right. There's a Hashem and there's darkness. And you didn't even act on it, you didn't do anything, but you felt it for a second. You say, Baruch ata Hashem, right? And sometimes you're not even able to act on that, right? But you have that recognition, right? And you might sometimes daven on it, you might do things, but then a lot of times you feel just depressed after. You say, oh, I see that this thing is mamish garbage. I feel it.
I'm still doing it.
And I'm still doing it. And I'm still here. So this is where the pasuk comes in, right? This is where the story from Rav Nachman with the tainted grain. Rav Nachman gave a famous story. He said that the king was told, amen, by his advisors that the grain, whoever eats the grain of the next year is going to become a meshugin mamish. And so the advisor said, let me and you save some grain from this year. We'll eat the normal grain, and everyone else will become a sugar, and Baruch Hashem will be normal. We're the king, we're the main person. The king thought, and he said, my dear advisor, you're a good guy, but you're a chap. If we don't eat the grain, and we're the only two normal guys, we're going to be the crazy people. So he said, what's the answer then? We're going to eat the grain also. We're also going to become crazy, but you're going to put a big C on your forehead, and I'm going to put a big C on my forehead. And whenever we see each other, we're going to remember, we're crazy. And you're going to remember, I'm crazy. This way, we'll go through the year at least remembering what's going on. So, I heard this, and someone said it over to paint the picture as to what it could mean. Lemaisa, he said, in Eretz Yisrael, when you call a bris for 9 o'clock, so whoever comes at 9 o'clock and starts screaming, where's the meal, where's the food, you say, go fly a kite. A bris 9 o'clock means 9:30, lefachot, maybe 9:45 sometimes, but everyone understands that. But this guy comes, he says, no, my bris is going to be 9 o'clock. I don't understand why no one's here. I don't care. They do the bris. They have the suda. Guy starts showing up 9:45. He goes, finished, benching. But it's not. I said 9 o'clock. I'm a man of my word. 9 o'clock means 9 o'clock. So he said, it's true. And it's meshiga. It's not right. It's not yasher maybe even. But everyone does it. So just put the C on your forehead and say, we're all crazy for doing it. It's not normal. It's not right. It's not yasher maybe. But still do it. Still do it. So over here, Klal Yisrael got to the sea, right? And they got to the sea and it was terrible, right? They didn't know where to go. So to a Yid sometimes comes to a place where he feels the emes. He feels good, but he doesn't know what to do. How is he supposed to go on? He's not living by this emes. It's true. Vayisa'u. Go weiter, right? Put the big mark on your forehead. Don't just go weiter and eat the crazy grain and think that everything's okay. Put a big mark on your forehead. Remember, this is crazy. I know the emes now, and I'm not listening to it. Put the mark on your forehead and go weiter. Hashem should help us. We should have a gewaldige Shabbos.
Wow, such nice words. Wow.
One more vart on the mun that we say the Parshas Haman. What is Rav Menachem Mendel Ruminov teaching us? You know what he's teaching us? That we could do a lot more. Why? Because all of a sudden one day, this week, I was like sitting there, I was like, it's 2:30, I have a few minutes, hopping every minute to make sure I get in that segula for Parnasa. Right? All of a sudden, every person in the Klal Yisrael has 20, 30 minutes that they could spend extra.
You know what?
And avoid this Hashem. It taught me that I could do a lot more.
I didn't say it because I thought to myself that